Hello, everyone. This is Lexicon Architect coming at you with another budget commander list. Today, we're going to be playing a very interesting deck that I titled Dwarves and Dragons. So, let's get into the deck. So, our commander is Magda Brazen Outlaw, sorry. And it's a very low CMC commander at 2 mana that gives all our other dwarves +1/+0. And then whenever we attack with a dwarf, whenever a dwarf we control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. And then we can sacrifice 5 tokens to search our library for an artifact or a dragon card, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle our library. So this is very cool because we have tons of ways to generate treasure tokens, and we can get our heavy hitting dragons from our deck. Most likely, we'll probably do the sacrifice at the end of our last opponent's turn, so that way we can attack in with the dragon as soon as our turn begins. So let's get into the rest of the deck. We are playing Koth Fire Resistance. It's a 4 mana planeswalker that says for its uptick ability for 2, we can search for a basic mountain, reveal it, and put it into our hand. Then it has a -3 ability where it deals damage to target creature equal to the number of mountains. And then the real payoff is if we can get this to 7 loyalty for our control, it deals 4 damage to any target. So this can get nutty. So every time we play a land, opponent controls, or just blast our opponent to the face for 4 damage over and over again. So let's get into the creature base. So we're playing Academy Manufacturer, which I think is a good card in this deck, because if we're creating treasures, we're also either exile the top 2 cards of our library until the next turn we can play those cards, or we can be cheeky and create 3 treasure tokens. Next, we're playing Bloodline Pretender, 3 mana 2/2 shapeshifter that also has kind of the same ability as Adaptive Automaton. But whenever another creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Bloodline Pretender. Another one of our heavy hitting dragons is this 9 mana Tyrant that has affinity for artifacts. So even if we don't use our treasures, we can still play this card and probably end up paying it for only 3 mana. So it does have flying and haste. And then whenever it attacks, we exile the top 5 cards of our library. And if we may cast an artifact spell from among them, and if we do, it has affinity for artifacts. Another one of our heavy hitting dragons is Drakuseth. It is a 7 mana dragon with flying, and then whenever it attacks, damage to any target. A 2 mana dwarf called Fearless Liberator. It has a boast ability, so for 3 we can make a 2/1 red dwarf creature token, but we can only do this ability if one of our creatures attack this turn. Next, we are playing Gimli of the mana 1/1 with double strike. And then whenever another legendary creature enters the battlefield, we will put a 1/1 counter on it. And if we are able to connect with this creature, we will create a treasure token. Next, we're playing Dwarf Emissary. It says whenever we cast a historic spell, create a treasure token. So these are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. We may sacrifice a treasure, and we can goad target creatures. So this is good. So we can goad one of our opponent's best creatures and force them to attack another opponent besides us, because they won't be able to attack us with the goaded creature. So this is fun. I think this is a fun card. Next, for one of our dragons, we're playing Goldspan Dragon. It's a 5 mana 4/4 with flying and haste. Whenever it attacks or becomes a target of a spell, create a treasure token. And dragon on board, our treasures not only They tap for 2 mana now instead of just 1. Another one of our dragons is Lothless Dragon Queen. It's a 6/6 flying dragon that says whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under our control, create a 5/5 red dragon with flying. And then for 2 mana, we can give all dragons +1/+0. And we can do this a number of times as long as we have the mana for it. Next, we're going to be playing Metallic Mimic. It is another shapeshifter, which we'll probably be choosing dwarves or dragons. And then those creatures enter with an additional 1/1 counter. We are playing Plundering Barbarian because we could either destroy an artifact or create a treasure token when it ETBs. Professional Facebreaker is in here to generate tokens, so as long as we're able to deal combat damage, we'll create a treasure. And then whatever the case may be, we can sacrifice a treasure to exile the top card of our library, and we may play that card this turn. One of our another big dragons is a 3/3 Respacious Dragon. Whenever it ETBs, we make 2 treasures. Then we're playing 7 copies of 7 Dwarves, so they all bump each other and also get the buff from our commander. We are playing Stormkiln Artist. It is a dwarf. It gets +1/+0 for each artifact, which will be our treasures. And then whenever we cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, we will create a treasure token. We also have another shapeshifter, Antorian Mauler, that says whenever an opponent casts a spell, we may put a 1/1 counter on it. Torbrand is another dwarf, but this one is a very good dwarf for us because whenever a red source will deal damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage +2. Then we're going to be playing a 1-mana changeling called Universal Automaton. And then another one of our big dragons is Ultivaric Hellkite. It's a 6/6 flying. And then whenever another dragon attacks, you put a 6/6 red dragon token with flying onto the battlefield. We're playing Vault Robber. It is a dwarf. For 1, we can exile a creature from our graveyard, create a treasure. And then finally, the last card is Zorn. 3 mana, 3/2. That says if we would create 1 or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. For sorcery, we're playing Cathartic Reunion to draw cards. Dwarf Reinforcements allows us to make 2/1 red dwarf berserker creature tokens. We can foretell it for 2 and then play it for 2. Faithless Looting to draw. Pirate's Pillage allows us to discard a card to draw 2 and create 2 treasures. Seize the Spoils, discard a card, draw 2, create a treasure. Strike It Rich, 1 mana spell, creates a treasure for us, has flashback, so we can create another treasure. And then we have another discard. Since we're playing Big Score to discard a card, draw 2, create 2 treasures. Cathartic Pyre to either deal 3 damage to a target creature or discard up to 2 cards and then draw 2. Delayed Blast Fireball for 3. So we can deal 2 damage to each opponent and each creature, but if it was cast from exile, it deals 5 instead in each creature. So we can foretell this for 2, and then in a late game, if we need it, we can pay 6 and attempt to wipe most of the board. Galvanic Blast deals 2 damage to any target, but if we control 3 or more artifacts, it'll deal 4 instead. Lightning Bolt, 3 damage to any target. Seething Song, 3 to generate 5 mana. Stoke the Flames with Convoke to deal 4 damage to any target. Thrill of Possibility to discard a card and draw 2. Unexpected Windfall is the same as Big Score, except it's double red. And then Valakut Awakening to put any number of cards from our hand on the bottom of our library, and we draw that many cards +1. As far as artifacts, I will only cover the most important ones, which is Dragon's Hoard. So whenever another dragon ETBs, we put a gold counter on it. We can either remove a gold counter to draw a card or add 1 mana of any color. Glittering Stockpile is a mana rock for us that adds 1 red, put a stash counter, and then we can use this to add a bunch of mana once we sacrifice it for the number of stockpile. And then finally, we're going to talk about Maskwood Nexus. So it is a 4 mana artifact that says creatures we control are every creature type. And this is the same for cards that we own that aren't on the battlefield. And then for 3, we can create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter. So this works well with the fact that our dragons are dwarves, and our dwarves are dragons. So we're going to get the buff off of our commander and any other interaction that does something with the card. And then enchantments will be doing Dragon Tempest. Creatures with flying enter the battlefield with haste. And then whenever another dragon ETBs, it deals X damage to target creature or player, which is the number of dragons you control. So going back to Maskwood Nexus, if that is out, we have a bunch of dwarves, they will count towards this enchantment. Gear Apparel Arthur Grid, we can tap up to 2 untapped artifacts you control, deals 1 damage to any target. We're going to be playing this background called Guild Artisan. So commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature attacks a player, if they have more life than that player, you create 2 treasures. We are going to be playing Shiny Impetus to enchant one of our opponent's creatures. It will give it a buff, but it is goaded, so it cannot attack you. And every time it attacks, we will make a treasure token. Then we have one of my favorite auras, which is Sticky Fingers. We enchant a creature. That creature has menace. And then whenever it deals combat damage, you create a treasure. And then whenever that enchanted creature dies, you draw a card. And then finally, our last enchantment that I thought would be a good include is There and Back Again. And it has 3 saga abilities. The first one is up to 1 target creature cannot block for as long as we control this. The rain will tempt us. Second, we get then shuffle. And then the final chapter is the most important because we create a 6/6 dragon token with flying and haste that says whenever this creature dies, 18 treasure tokens. So you're going to be, if that creature dies for whatever reason, you have 14 treasures. You can just grab all your dragons from your deck and just play all of them. Dwarven Mind is in here. If we control 3 or more mountains, you will create, if it comes in untapped, we'll create a dwarf. Forgotten Cave, either for a land or cycling. 31 mountains, Path of Ancestry, and Spinarak Knoll for Hideaway 4. And then if an opponent was dealt 7 or more damage, we will get to cast a card for free as long as we play 1 red. And that is the deck in a nutshell. We curve out at 2. There's no point to go over the mana symbols because, there's all mono red. And that's the deck. Again, that's the deck. This one is going to cost you anywhere between $145 to $150. Can't remember how much tickets it costs, but whatever the case, I hope you enjoy this deck tech. We will be doing another one tomorrow, which will be Vampire Typo. And then the next day, I also have another deck that I'm going to make a video for, which is Elementals with Animar as our commander. And I think that deck is going to be fun as well. So I hope you have a good day and take care.